Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Wednesday, September 11th, 2019. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Happy Hump Day, everyone. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. You'll notice here, price has broken free from this range in August and has had a very bullish start to September. In the previous session, we had prices pushing downward and below 2-day lows. And one thing I mentioned over the course of these 2 days is that if we get a pullback and get a failed low, that could catapult prices higher into new highs. So we're not too far away from new highs. This market has never been too far away from new highs, and the fact that we've gotten a really strong push here lately with the 8-period average starting to rise to provide support, with the price still holding above resistance, again, any pullback into that zone, and I mentioned even as deep as 2940, 2950 could provide a bounce for a continuation play higher. Now, a failure to hold 2950 overall would suggest a rotation back down. We now have ourselves a new pivot to watch as well, and that pivot from yesterday, the low being 57 quarters. So again, in the 2950 zone, that's an important zone right now for bulls to continue to hold. At the moment, we're seeing a midpoint retest and a digestive day after yesterday's push back into the range. And again, if we get some follow through to the upside, whether today or heading into the end of the week, that could easily take us into the previous month's high rather. After taking the previous month's close bid, we're very close to reaching that next upside target. So right now, everything is looking quite bullish at the moment, but if we fail to hold 2950, things could change. If we take a look at the NQ, you'll see here the NQ as it pops up. There it goes. You'll see right there, this is resistance. Your support's down here, 7,400, yes, 7,800-ish, 78 has been a very important area of resistance, but price broke through that area and pulled back, and here it is. This one hit the 8-period average in the previous session. By the end of the day, it had bounced, so it got a pretty decent little bounce into the close. And now, again, very similar to the ES, we're seeing a midpoint retest here, a digestive day after a bit of rejection, and that could easily lead prices to the recent month's high, right? So there's the August high, that blue line. We've taken this blue dotted line bid, that was the previous month's close. Previous month's low is right here. And if you're going to take this bid, the only level left to test is up here, and that's about 8K. So we could be looking at a return trip back to the FOMC key level. So it looks like both of these are making a move to retest the July 31st FOMC key level. And right now, again, that could be a week away from being reached, perhaps. A failure to hold 7,700 or this previous low here, 7,740, could open up a rotation back down towards 7,400. All right, let's take a look now at crude oil. You'll see here with crude, let's wipe that screen there. You'll see with crude here that this one is trading around two important levels. Number one, the previous month's high, which is that blue line this day here, and also this little cyan line, which is the 200-day average. And the last time we hit the 200-day average was also on the FOMC key level day, and price sold off heavily away from that level very quickly down to the low of 50.50. Right now we're back at that zone again. We hit that level yesterday, the FOMC key level. We're trading on the previous month's high right now, and so again, it looks like we've done a round trip here of all the FOMCs, and we have some to complete, but this one has been hit. Previous month's high here. We have kind of a rejection on both ends of yesterday's range, so that means we're kind of mostly range bound right now with an inside day and a narrow range 33% of ADR day. But again, seasonality here suggests that we rally August and into September, and by late September, early October, we start to melt back down. So right now we're on the phase up, and we have to see if this market can hold, because if we can hold the pullback like the ES and the NQ here as deep as 57, and we see some sort of rejection, that could easily take us higher towards 61s and lead to a breakout from this range. A failure to hold 57 right here would open up a rotation back toward 53 with a shot to retest those 50-50 lows. Alright, let's take a look now at gold futures. You'll see here with gold that we've had a very bullish uptrending market. This is about as deep a pullback that we've seen in gold this entire time. You have the high here about 5 days back, and then you have a drop to new lows over a 5-day span. If you look right here, we're having an inside day at the moment and trying to hold the midpoint of the previous month's range. You had a big strong move up last month. The high of the month here, close of the month there, low of the month there. This is the midpoint. So if there's a failure to hold that level, that's where things can get a little bit more serious here. But as long as we can pull back and hold that zone, so we can even go a little bit deeper here, 1480 right there gives us a nice LVN as well, and it would be just below it. If it can hold that zone, then we can easily see a retest back toward recent highs. Yesterday it looked like a rejection was forming and it just couldn't go. Same thing happened when we first hit the pivot range. It looked like a rejection was beginning to develop and it just didn't go. So right now it's probably going to need some sort of significant flush day into the LVN or through that midpoint to continue higher. But at the moment, this market clearly is bullish, and right now at the very least, if it's going to stop going up, perhaps it starts going sideways for a while as it did back in July. So we'll see if it can hold that midpoint here and return back toward highs. That would be a really good bounce back play, but we need a good strong rejection at these lows before that can happen. Alright, that is it for now. We'll see how this develops the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.